days. It's been one of those days. Ah! Oh my goodness. This is going to be a video that ends up getting majorly edited. Hey, Sam, how are you? Okay, I think that's good. I think I can do it from here. Oh my gosh. Yes, and that is how my day is going. How is your day going? Silliness. All right. So yeah, it's not a bad day. It's just kind of been one thing after the other of like little silly mishaps, like spilling stuff and having to take the time to clean it, and being a little bit late to today's ToesDay. It is all divine timing. It is all good. It is all exactly as it should be, right? And there you go. I dropped my my water cap. Gotta love the challenges life brings us. How bored would we be if there were no challenges, right? Right. Am I right or am I right? Okay, so today is another day of toe reading, and what we are doing today is we are talking about the big picture, or what is known as our destiny, or our destined path in life. Sometimes it shows up as our divine purpose, but our divine purpose is it kind of encompasses a little bit more than just the big toe. So the destined path is kind of the jumping off point or the starting point of looking at toe reading, and it's all about the big toe. So let's see, our toes would all be straight if we were bored off our butts, right? No challenges, no, they might be straight though. They might not be. It's very interesting how toe reading works, because in the intuitive place of, of being the conduit, of being the intermediary, if you will, between clients and their guides, because, oftentimes it's not my guides that are coming through me when I'm looking at a toe reading. It's the people that I'm sitting with. So like, for example, I have a guide that is, I swear, a sailor, because every once in a while I get this crazy potty mouth and I cannot control it. It is just, it spews out of me as if it's just the normal way to talk. And on a lot of levels, I'm completely offended by that. And then on other levels, I'm like, that's how he communicates. It's okay. It's all good. And I kind of have the same things happen. Like, I'll slip into some sort of accent that I don't even recognize. It's interesting to have switched over from doing live toe readings, in-person toe readings, to doing video toe readings. I've been doing that for the last 6+ years, doing the videos for the last 6+ years. So the COVID thing hasn't really spun me out of control. It's just actually added to my business, if anything. So that's a huge blessing. But if I had not had the video toe readings in place, it probably would have been really challenging to get out of my comfort zone, to worry about how I was coming across, I've been through the gamut over the last year just doing these lives, because it does take me out of my comfort zone. I'm critical of myself. I don't know any humans who aren't. So if you're not critical of yourself, I would love to have a fantastically deep conversation with you, because I need more of that in my life. But anyway, so, all of that ego stuff comes up when I see myself on screen, and especially because in the filming version of toe reading, I add I add the subtitle subtexts in the typed form, and I do it as professionally as is humanly possible, which is why the comprehensive readings are a little bit more expensive than the basic readings, because the basic readings, I farm those out. I give those to lower level toe readers who are, who are just learning how to do it. And so I'm kind of acting as their editor and doing the background stuff for them, but they get to practice, they get to do the basic toe reading, and they'll probably give you way more information than I would if I was giving a basic toe reading. So it ends up working out better for the client, and it works out great for the practitioner so that they can use their talents instead of just kind of stuffing them on a bookshelf, quite literally. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to toe reading. Let's get to talking about the big picture and the destined path in life and how that shows up on our toes. So when we're talking about destiny or our big toes, we're talking about the element of ether. We're also talking about what comes down to the connection between our crown chakra, so our connection to higher self or God, and the connection that comes right after that, which is right at our, right between our eyes. Oh goodness, it's escaping me. Anyway, those of you who know what I'm talking about. It's the third eye chakra, if you will. So it's kind of listening to our intuitive self or our inner guidance and allowing our ego to just step aside and take a back seat, allowing our intuition to take the wheel, if you will, of guiding our life experience. And the crown chakra and the the third eye chakra, it finally came to me. And the third eye chakra, those are really higher level chakras that we're dealing with. We're dealing with our intuition and our connection to source. That's a big deal. It doesn't come, I was gonna say it doesn't come naturally. That's a lie. It comes extremely naturally to us, but we unlearn it over the course of our lifetimes because we're in a society that's not particularly accepting of it, or it hasn't been in the past. Thank goodness it has shifted in the last, let's say, 25 years toward this more open, more spiritual existence. So I'm super happy with how people have responded to the various ways and the various techniques and tools to use to connect to your intuition and connect to that higher self, because that's where the magic in life happens. If you don't already know that, welcome to the club. It's absolutely true. When your intuition tells you to get onto a freeway at one exit and it's not an exit that you ever, or an entrance, and it's not the entrance that you typically take, there's a reason. You have to trust that guidance, right? Same thing goes for pulling into a parking lot. If you want a parking space up front, demand it. Go ahead. What's the worst that can happen? You still park in the middle with everybody else. The best that can happen is that you imagine that parking space is the very first one and you get it. It's totally magical. It was interesting because when I first started working myself with manifesting money, the guidance at the time, and really still to this day, is to, ask the question, do you ever find coins on the ground when you're in a parking lot, when you're walking down the street, when you're, checking out at the counter? Do you ever see coins anywhere you go? That's apparently in the metaphysical world, that's a sign that your angels are kind of, showering you with coins, showering you with, money energy, right? And kind of pay attention to that. So the challenge when I was just shifting into a deeper and basically breaking my glass ceiling of what I expected in life financially was to, okay, now shift that to bills. Now look for bills everywhere you go. It doesn't matter if it's a $1 bill, a $5 bill, a $20 bill, whatever. Now shift your energy from noticing the coins because they've already shown you that. Now ask them to show you the dollar bills. And it's amazing, totally amazing when you shift that energy from coins to bills, how incredibly aware you become, right? So this story that I tell it fairly regularly, but it's a story that's important for this scenario. It's the idea of a ship captain. Yeah, right. Show me the money. Seriously, show me the money. Do it. So it's this idea that when a ship captain with a big, huge ship and little ships that row, the big ship stays anchored out in the harbor, the little ships row their way to shore, right? And this big ship shows up, way long time ago on an ancient island where the natives have never even seen a ship. They've, made themselves to canoe to get around the, close to the island where they can fish. But other than canoes, they don't know what a ship is. And so they come to the shore when everybody starts talking about these canoes just showing up out of nowhere. And the people are rowing themselves to shore on these canoes. Well, they recognize canoes because they've been there, done that. They've seen it. They've experienced it. They know what to look for. But they never saw the ship. Nobody saw the ship. So the conversation between the sea captain and, let's say, the chief of the tribe happens where they're able to discuss what the ship might look like in, perhaps familiar terms to the chief. And all of a sudden, once that kind of sets in and that idea or concept becomes known to the chief, all of a sudden the ship appears on the horizon. So it's not that the ship was never there, it's that he wasn't tuned, if you will, to the frequency of it because it had never happened before. So it's kind of the same thing when it comes to pretty much anything in life. If you're looking for more income, if you're looking for the love of your life, if you're looking for a happier lifestyle, if you're looking for, maybe more travel, it doesn't matter what you're looking for in life. You have to tune yourself to that frequency. You have to tune yourself to this idea of being able to see what you're not used to seeing, right? So anyway, that's the metaphysical lesson for today, everybody. So in toe reading, with the big picture, we're talking about ether, we're talking about the upper quadrant chakras, and we're talking about the big toes and where those lie on your feet. So for example, one of the ways that we block that when we have big toes that have bumps or lines, horizontal lines across them. Horizontal lines have a tendency to mean that we've come up against something big, something drastic, something not easy for us to navigate in life, let's say. And where it shows up on your foot is kind of the timeline of where that happened in life. So a toe reader might look at, and I'm looking for a picture right now so that I can show you. So a toe reader might look at where, okay, so this line, this horizontal line on this foot, now this is the right foot that I'm pointing to, okay? That horizontal line came into this person's life only slightly before she was actually born, okay? So there, it's in utero experience. So, you know, my question at this point would be for this particular client, maybe have a conversation with mom. And if mom is not available, maybe have a conversation with spirit guides, whatever that looks like for you. And around forgiveness, or about in utero challenges that happened. Maybe mom and dad argued a lot. Maybe mom was really, really stressed out and really nervous about having maybe she's a first baby. I have no idea. I don't know who any of my of these toes belong to usually, because these are really, really old toe reading toes. But you know, if you look here, okay, so if this is before she even came to this earthly plane, anything that shows up even back further is, I feel like it's almost like past life stuff. Or, you know, I think of past life and ancestral stuff as the same. So if we share the DNA of, you know, 3, 4, 5 generations back, we're bringing that stuff forward in our DNA, right? If you can wrap your head around that concept, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So, you know, maybe there's a story about what women are supposed to show up like in this lifestyle and in the big picture, and maybe it's something that she doesn't really agree with, or maybe it's something that her, you know, great ancestor didn't agree with. Maybe there was something that happened. Anyway, any kind of horizontal line that shows up there has to do with a little bit of unforgiveness happening. So there's some forgiveness work to do in this person. Another thing, I think I showed you guys this picture last time because it's starting to feel familiar to me, is that in the first half of her life, she didn't hold back much of anything as far as what she believed to be her destiny or her destined path. But there was a point, and it looks like it happened right about here, where she went through something that made her stop talking about her destined path and made her take a different route in life. So this, the kind of the bubbling up and the, it's a little bit of a holding back in conversation around what that destiny looks like for her. And because we're talking about the right foot, we're talking about the external way that she shows up in the world. Now, internally, you can see that this toe is a lot thinner, and it comes a lot thinner all the way through. So she didn't ever stop lying to herself. She just started maybe holding back from telling her truth out loud in, you know, the real world, if you will, or in what we experience. Who knows what's real and what's not as far as the world is concerned, right? Oh, we could get into big, deep discussions, right? But that's kind of how it works. So yeah, so let me find a different picture since I used this one last time. Okay, here's a great one. We can't quite see because of the flip-flops, but you know, where anything might end up on the back half, but she has fairly smooth feet, so it's probably not the case as far as, you know, ancestral stuff that she's bringing in. However, you can see that she does have a nice line that's showing up about 2/3 of her life ago, and you can see that because if this is where her life started on this earth, and this is where life is right now, then it's kind of like 1/3 into her life, something fairly traumatic happened, or something that definitely affected her emotions, and specifically her emotions about her big picture and her destiny. So, you know, maybe her parents got divorced. Maybe she had this idea in mind of what a family looked like, and she had to completely sweep that under the rug and create a new definition for herself, right? And so I'm not saying that she hasn't, you know, gotten there. She has this optimistic outlook because you can see that her toe kind of swoops up to the heavens. So that kind of swooping up of a toe is a good positive outlook, or a, you know, glass half full attitude, if you will. And then you can see that really most of her toes, kind of right at that 1/3 mark, take kind of a dive to the earth. They kind of go down a little bit. And so that's a little bit more negative talk. That's a little bit more negative self-talk. So whether it's the right foot or the left foot is where that shows up. So the left foot might show up internally and how we talk to ourselves. So like my feet, I'm really hard on myself. I started this whole video saying that my left foot of toes is a little bit more, they come a little bit further down than my right foot, which comes a little bit up. So I have a tendency to speak outwardly in a little bit more of a positive way, and I have a positive attitude about the world around me. But inside, I still hold back. I still have a tendency to be challenging. I have a tendency to be a little bit more negative when I talk to myself. So one of my recent, I have a girlfriend that I'm working with. She is my accountability partner, and I'm hers. And so one of the things that I more recently promised on that accountability was to speak to myself the way that I would speak to others, because I speak to others fairly positively. I speak to others with this, wonderful guidance around, keeping it positive, keeping that idea of, spinning, if you will, events that happen in our lives to see the lesson, to see the positive things that have happened, to feel, I think it's because when I do the filming, it's the camera's backwards. So it's inverted for you. So even though I know that even though the wording is the correct way for you, Sam, it's probably switched as far as how it's supposed to be. That's because of the way that the video is filming right now, that the live stream happens. We've all complained to Facebook about it a million times, and they have yet to do anything about it. So I know I'm not the only one with this challenge, especially when it comes to something as very specific as, just on the real feet. Interesting. Okay. Well, you'll just have to trust me then that the the right foot is the right foot and the left foot is the left foot. And where is that other one? This one. So like if I were to look down at these feet, does that show up the right way? And I use the word right in quotes, of course. But yeah, so in the reason I know that it is what it is because of, okay, so because this image was taken from above while the person was sitting, that's one of the reasons why the way that I ask people to take photos when they send them to me for toe reading is to take it from above while you're sitting, so that I know that that's the right foot and that's the left foot. Otherwise, yeah, it would get really, really confusing. So, oh, you lost my audio. Okay, well, can you hear me yet? Hopefully, because it's not, usually it kind of lets me know if something's going wrong. Hopefully it's on your end, maybe. I don't know. Not that I want it to be on your end. No sound. Okay, well, I'm gonna continue just because it's not showing up on my end. So I'm just going to continue as if the sound is working. I'm sorry about that. I apologize that is happening. Interesting. Anyway, let me see. We only have a few minutes left anyway. So when we're talking about the big picture of the destiny. One of the ways that you want to focus, if you're trying to figure out what your destined path is, for example, okay? One of the ways that you can do that is in foot care for yourself, okay? So when you're sitting, now this is with the assumption that anybody who's going to be attracted to toe reading is kind of on a self-discovery journey, if you will, okay? And in that self-discovery, one of the number one ways to create a sense of peace and harmony and oneness between you, the human, and, you know, God, the source energy, is to allow yourself to be in a meditative state. So allow yourself to do meditation very regularly, if not once a day, several times a day, but to create some sort of habit around connecting to source and allowing yourself to hear, if that's the right word, to sense, to see, to experience what your guides, what God is trying to tell you. And so with assuming that you're on that path already, that's where I am coming from when I talk about the big picture in your life and how you can connect that to what you're here to do and how you're here to serve the betterment of humanity. Okay. That can be done through the meditative state and or while you're sitting with yourself, with your higher self, with your God, you can bring your feet into your lap. You can do that. You can get yourself to the point where you feel confident and comfortable in your space. So, you know, I often think of the yoga pose where it's, you know, crisscross applesauce. I have kids. I speak in kid language. So crisscross applesauce, your feet, and if you can keep your feet, you know, up so that you can access your toes, if you will, and you can literally take your finger and your thumb and just kind of touch that big picture as you're sitting there thinking and as you're sitting there contemplating. And if you even can out loud, I would recommend asking the question, what is my purpose in life? What am I, and if you know what your purpose is, maybe what are my next steps in my purpose? Which path am I supposed to choose if there's a choice to make? You know, our guides are, you know, ask and ye shall receive. Our guides are there to be observers and to intervene only when we request their intervention. So unless we ask, they can't help. So if you want to get to your destined path in a more streamlined manner, honestly, the best way you can do that is to ask. Ask your guides for guidance. Ask your guides for answers. Ask your guides for clear and concise, in this timeline, examples or, you know, metaphors or whatever. I heard something today that was talking about how to test that. There's so many people out there that have this very scientific mind, and while I don't expect many of them to be looking up toe reading videos, every once in a while somebody's drawn to what the heck is that and what is that about. So if you are scientific, or if you know somebody who's more scientific oriented, then you can suggest the idea of law of attraction or intuitive guidance or your spirit world allowing things to show up for you. Or you could even call it just that your awareness in your brain is, you know, that the synapses are working to trigger whatever it is that you ask for. So, for example, maybe you're not sure whether this works or not. Maybe you want a little bit of proof, you know, proof is visual for scientists. So ask to see, like for example, a color of a car. Okay, so maybe the color of the car is like lime green. Maybe it's a color that's really, really unusual and you don't see lime green cars very often. Or a sky blue car, something, you know, something that's practical, but you know, maybe not something you would see regularly. And you'll be absolutely amazed at how many times you see it and how much it shows up in your experience when you ask for that experience to happen. So once you have that kind of proof positive under your belt, then you can start experimenting, if you will, with other things in your life, like money, like love, like happiness, like health, like you know, calmness. As you know, if you live in a chaotic house or a chaotic lifestyle, maybe you need that calming effect in your life. So ask for it. Ask for calm. And you know, you'll probably start laughing when all kinds of spa things come up in your experience. You're driving down the road, you see a billboard and it's all about, you know, take some time for yourself. You'll be, you know, waiting at a stoplight and the car in front of you will be like, Om, you know, the license plate will say Om. That kind of stuff, it happens to me all the time, but I have to ask. If I don't ask, it automatically doesn't happen, right? Ask and ye shall receive. If you don't ask, it's not going to happen, right? So anyway, when it comes to your destiny or the big picture in your life, that is the big thing to be aware of, is that you need to ask if you don't already know. And if you already know and you're not sure which direction to go in or what your next steps are, ask. Ask your guides, ask your God to give you practical signs that you will recognize, or obvious signs that you will recognize, and it will be shown to you. The way will be shown, but you have to ask. So ask away. All right. Thank you very much for joining me, Jamie Allen Bishop with Soul Heart Entertainment for ToesDay. ToesDay happens every Tuesday at 6 p.m. California time. And if you are interested, this month, September 2020, is my birthday month. So I am gifting anybody, well, not anybody, I'm gifting up to 50 toe readings at 50% off. So if you're one of the first 50, and we haven't reached 50 quite yet, you too can have a toe reading this month. So reach out to me and find out more about the toe readings. And in the meantime, take good care of your toes. Take good care of those soles. It's not a mistake that they're called soles. And come join me next week on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Take care. Bye for now.